Josh. Craig Carlisle, welcome back.
Thank you.
So good to have you back in Columbus and at SGG. This show is all new pieces that have been created in 2021.
Yes, sir.
And I wanted to spend a little bit of time having you talk through the show itself and sort of the two different moods of the show. I think that there are some pieces that will feel familiar to people who know you, as well as some of the new characters, if you will, that are in the show. So could we start with this?
Yeah,
piece?
let's do this one.
Okay.
So on this painting here, you have some of the traditional heads that I've been doing for decades. The new thing I've been incorporating in this last year or two are the arms and more figurative work. So a lot of times I'll just use one hand, but now I'm using arms and hands to create a relationship. And I think the relationships are not so much romantic relationships as they are relationships that we have maybe post-pandemic, you know, after not being able to touch and hold and being isolated so much. And I think that's a lot of this show and a lot of my work recently is in reference to my experience. Yeah, I like human contacts, and it has nothing to do with my personal life, and it's more about maybe where I want my life to be, or to be able to have that intimacy again. So I use a lot of symbolism in my work, and in this painting in particular, you have the symbol of the rose garden, and you have the figures that are laying in the rose garden, so you have that romantic feel. You have a serpent as a tattoo or a art on the skin. So you have the head of the serpent here on his arm, and then on her arm, you have the tail of the serpent.
Where it's wrapped around.
Right, so what they've done is they found each other in the world, and they've come together, and so the serpent is now whole. And also with him, he is not blind, but he has his eyes closed, and to feel and to see that it really is her, he has little eyes on his hand here, so those are symbolic of...
Right, the physical
touch. It's more important to know and to feel what the presence of the person versus what I'm seeing.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you sent me images in advance, of course, but I didn't really appreciate or see the serpent until I could get up close in person. So it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, you got to be up close, and there's a lot of technique and texture in the work I do. The hands, I'm not looking at formal anatomy, even though I was trained there. I'm creating my own hands based on a reference to the content of the painting. So you have, like this case, you have like 3 fingers that are basically the same size, and you have these 2 short little fingers. So it's a certain touch, and these are all about the same. And her hand is a little more flaying. And so
they're very symbolic of hands. They're not, it's not a figurative painting of a hand. Love it.
So
awesome. All right, so then we have this one. So let's move over to this one.
All right.
And tell me sort of who we're looking at, who they are, and how our viewers and people watching should understand what's happening in this painting, which is called, by the way, Fairest Lavender, Beholding the Rapturous Light.
Yes. So Fairest Lavender is the princess. This is Bedivere, and he's the hero. His goal and his purpose in life is to be the hero to Lavender, and to appeal to Lavender and to protect her. So that's kind of the theme of all the work in the show that has the lion and the princess, and there's a half dozen paintings like that in the show.
And just so people know, I don't want to interrupt, but is this a story you read or a story?
No, all the paintings in the exhibition have all been derived from poems or stories that I write in my journal, which then are translated onto the canvas. So I'll write bits and pieces of that onto the canvas, and then I'll start painting from that.
So those words
you won't ever see those words written. Sometimes I'll write the complete poem or the story on the back of the canvas, and those are kind of surprises for people who take the paintings home.
Okay.
But that's where they come from. So at one point, this was a story that was being written in my journal. And so in this painting, you have a lot of symbolism. You have the hand of God up here coming down, bringing the light onto them. And then she's holding the eggs in the nest, so that's fertility. You have the storm cloud here, so you have the dark and the light and the danger in the world, and you have the pretty flowers down here. So you have a lot of different symbolism going on
And again, much like you couldn't see the serpent, the detail of the eggs and the nest and the texture is just
there's a lot
amazing.
of detail. Right.
It's so beautiful. And so throughout the show, which is 20 pieces, these characters show up in maybe not quite half.
Probably seven or eight.
Seven or eight. Yeah.
So this storyline shows up in the later half of this series of 2021 that I was doing. All the paintings are in reference to symbolically lavender and vetiver, even though some are more mortal, with like the other painting here where they're showing as heads, and then other ones are more in the story. So they're both kind of the same story.
There's an interplay between the two.
Yeah, so I've chosen to go ahead and exhibit both of those together to challenge myself to the story, and then I will continue to do more of that writing.
Well, I've had a sneak peek, and congratulations, because you pulled it off really well. Well, thank you. And so now we're going to go into our speed round.
Yeah, good. Let's see what I can do here.
Okay. So, and you'll be surprised, like everybody is surprised, even though I ask the exact same questions every time. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word, love.
What is your least favorite word?
Hate.
What turns you on?
Sunlight.
What turns you off?
Anger.
What is your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word?
Or most used? I don't know.
Oh my God, can I say it? I'm a preacher's kid. I can't say it.
Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I don't know what the hell I would like to attempt. Hell is my favorite cuss word.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not going to tell.
I was teasing you. Okay, so what was my favorite profession? What?
If you weren't an artist, what profession would you like to attempt?
Archaeology.
Archaeology.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
I like to dig.
Okay, last one. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
He made art.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.